Hey guys, it's Coffee here, and I'm here today to talk to you about... Oh my god, it is so hot. Is it just me, or is it... or has there been a rework? Well, there has, and it's Tassadar, and he's hot. I mean, burning hot. Okay, he's so hot that I think I'm gonna treat myself to a Duke Cannon cold shower towelette. All right, let's crack this baby open here. Oh, that's a nice textured little towelette. Oh my God. It feels amazing. I feel incredibly clean. I feel so clean that I may not shower for several weeks now. As I was saying, Tassadar, he's back, and in a big way. So I've had the opportunity to play quite a bit of the new Tassadar, and he definitely feels like a hero that I want to learn to play. He does a lot of damage, especially so when you combo with him, and he feels very effective, and there's definitely a lot of playmaking potential. I think one of the most unique things about new Tassadar is that you'll find that the Force Wall has been moved to a basic ability. That's right. Yeah, I know. An old ultimate he had is now a basic part of his kit on a 21-second cooldown. It's insane. Okay? So combo your Force Wall with a Psionic Storm, throw your Q through it to slow the enemy target. He's not going anywhere.
Tassadar's rework. We're finally here. It's been at least a year and a half, maybe even longer, discussing the possibility of Tassadar's rework, but now it exists in real time, in real space, on the PTR, and it'll be out, I believe, next week, as well as these cool skins, the Dark Nexus Tassadar. Shout out to Alex Dids. So Tassadar's basic attack is similar. It's a ranged beam. It used to be called the Tickle Beam. His auto attack probably looks the same in that it's a beam that connects, but it does different stuff. It has a slow, turns mana, and deals or gives him increased attack damage as he stands there and tickles you. And then the meme that everybody said shouldn't Force Wall be a basic ability, it happened. His new E is Force Wall. We're gonna skip Archon for a sec because it's pretty similar to what it used to be-ish. To talk about what replaced Force Wall, it's called the Black Hole. After 0.5 second cast, launch a black hole that travels in a long line. While traveling, the black hole quickly pulls enemies towards its center. Touching the center deals 310 damage and stuns. So he shoot it just kind of like his new Q with Shock Ray, shooting it in a line. It's a similar thing, but you really want to avoid it because if you're at the outskirts of it, it'll suck you into the middle. And if you're sucked into the middle, you take damage, bunch of damage, and you're stunned. Don't get sucked into the hole. Tassadar's a completely new hero. The whole shield thing, out the window. Sorry, Tracer. Sorry, Vala. That's gone. We're done with it. He a full damage now. This is the year of a Tassadar. He is with us. And while he does qualify as an ability-based mage, he's not James Raynor where all he has is auto attacks. I really do feel like, just from initial first impressions, the auto attack build and the auto attack talents are going to be where it's at. And there's some really cool stuff in there for some really cool trolley Force Wall plays that I think I feel like, where is it? Where did it go? Where did it go? Here it is, the Electric Fence. This one really has stuck with me. After reading through all of the talents a few times, the one that really holds my interest the most is the Electric Fence. Besides the obvious Ren and Stimpy joke. Some things are going to happen here, okay? Watch your CCL because something's going to happen with that talent.
Hey everybody. So we got some big news recently. The Tassadar rework that's been rumored, or sorry, was even officially announced well over a year ago at this point. I first heard about it in like January, February of last year, and it might have even been announced before then. It's finally coming out. And that's big news, you know, because he definitely needed it. You know, and I will say that as a person who adores that character. I used to be a Tassadar main, both pre-rework and post. And someone that's been abusing Tass-Tracer for literally years now. He definitely needed it. Feels a little bit bad for me, but I think overall it's a good idea to shake him up a bit. He had this kind of issue where he felt very boring at high levels of play, very just kind of stand in the back and cast your spells at max range and just be super safe and never really do anything else kind of playstyle. And then at the lower ranks, he was just seen as basically useless. You know, he's been one of the lowest win rate heroes in the game outside of the competitive environment for basically forever now. And so I think that, you know, given that he didn't really have a home anywhere outside of like specific niche scenarios, I think it makes sense to rework him. But I will say that after looking over these notes, I have a few fundamental issues with the rework here. You know, thinking about the issues that I have with current Tassadar, one thing that I really don't like is when people would pick this talent called Templar's Will, which is in the game currently, but is getting basically added to Tassadar's trait baseline. Tassadar is a very squishy mage, and Templar's Will is a talent that incentivizes standing still to channel your auto attacks. But you don't want your squishy mages standing in the front auto attacking, so there's this natural issue there when you're picking that talent. I feel that this rework is now just kind of making that his baseline playstyle, and one of the biggest draws of his auto attack back in the day, or at least in the current state, is that although it may not deal a lot of damage, and although it may root you in the front line, it provides a decent slow. It's currently a 25% slow. If you talent Force Wall, that actually goes up to a 35% slow. On the PTR, that's a 10% slow. So it's basically hardly even noticeable anymore as a slow. I think it still deals about comparable damage, but it's losing one of the main components that made it good, and it still has the same problem of just you're having a mage stand still in the front lines, getting those auto attacks off. Except now Tassadar is even less safe than he was before without his shield, without nullification, without dimensional shift. He's a lot more in danger standing up in the front, and doesn't really have those tools to save him, tools to save his allies, although he does have a baseline Force Wall now. This can be something you can kind of struggle with, and I think that we're going to see this inherent kind of disconnect between your kit wanting you to be in the front line and you not wanting to play in the front line. I think that's going to be a big issue. His kit really incentivizes him to stand still. Everything is built around his new trait channeling his auto attacks, and that's not good on a mage. I will say, looking through his patch notes, they didn't mention anything about a health change, which was the very first thing I looked through, because I was like, alright, if you're going to put everything into the auto attack, you gotta make him a little bit beefier. Nothing was mentioned about a health change in the patch notes, and I found that really disappointing until we got actually into the game. I saw Kyberry streaming Tassadar, and I found out, okay, he actually does have more health now. They buffed him from 1350 to 1551, giving him about 200 extra health. I think that's a really good move. I'm not sure it's enough, but I think it's definitely in the right direction for Tassadar. I think that that's what he needs if you're going to have him in this sort of style. So even with all that in mind, even though I do kind of have issues with the fundamental playstyle of new Tassadar, and I also don't think his talents are really that intriguing, because I think they feed into the same fundamental issue that Tassadar continues to have the entire time. I will say that baseline Force Wall seems insane. That seems like it'll be free peel. It's a lot of utility on a character from level 1. That's basically just, like I said, it's peel for your team. It also really helps out your engages. It basically means that the enemy team ever steps in range of Force Wall, your ETC is basically guaranteed a power slide. The Diablo synergy is immediately obvious. You know, you just throw a Force Wall, and anywhere Diablo wants there to be a wall stun, there can be a wall stun, so that's another thing to keep in mind. If a Garrosh tries to run up to you guys, you know, you can just block him off with basically zero counterplay from the Garrosh. You can't kill the wall. And another thing that actually kind of sticks out to me, I think this is a bit of a higher level tactic, but actually it's possible to play your lanes safer because of the new Force Wall, because you can go ahead and you can block off your minions as they're coming out of the gates. I think that's going to be particularly useful at level 1. You can block off your minions as they're coming out of the gates, meaning that the minion waves, when they will crash, will be more towards your side of the map, making you able to be much safer, you know, like those Garroshes, those Alaraks, those Stitches, you know, they won't really have those opportunities to get you out of position. If you ever are in a situation where you, really in any situation, I was going to say if you want to be defensive or even if you want to be offensive, I think it's in your interest for that first minion wave, and a lot of minion waves in general, to crash more on your side of the field. So there's a lot of high-level wave manipulation stuff you can actually do with a baseline Force Wall that you're always going to have. That's definitely something that's on my mind. Again, I think that anybody that's really invested in learning how to play the hero at a high level can definitely make really good use of that. And moving into the heroics as well, the heroics are what really excites me about this. The new Archon seems kind of good to me, like minus 20 spell armor. That's huge for bursting targets down with your team, especially high armor targets. It makes them a lot more reasonable as burst targets. I think the Tass is definitely going to have a niche there. I also see this as part of an AoE comp, because, you know, these, your attacks cleave in Archon, you've got AoE minus 20 spell armor, you're just hitting everybody, and you've also got a Psionic Storm on top of that, but I can also see Black Hole, his other heroic, working in these compositions as well. So I'm not really sure in an AoE composition exactly which one you'd want, but I think that definitely in burst comps, or when you need that, maybe if you need individual survivability, I think Archon seems interesting. You know, the instant 48% HP shield. But then again, it does a lot less against dive than it used to, because you're no longer getting a second dimensional shift. You don't have any dimensional shifts at all, so Tassadar is way weaker to dive now. And obviously Black Hole's just insane. You know, it's peel, it's follow-up for your team's engages. There's a lot of things you can do with that. I will say, out of everything, you know, I think a lot of fundamental issues are still present with Tassadar, if not bigger than they used to be, but the heroics and the baseline force wall really excite me. I think that this change probably moves Tassadar in a decent direction overall. I'm not the biggest fan of this rework in general, but I am really excited to see how this goes, and I just hope that this makes Tassadar, you know, more of a welcome hero in the Nexus, you know, because, like I said, he didn't really fit in anywhere, and I think that should change with this rework, even if there are a few problems with it. Overall, I give it a 6 out of 10.